Showtime! The Capital G show starts right now.
What's up YouTube, Capital G here, and with the beginning of a new format, the hopes and dreams of many duelists are at their peak. Older decks get cycled out while newer ones pop up just ready for the spotlight to show what they can do, and like every format, I've decided to showcase the decks that I think will be doing the best this format and the ones you'll definitely want to look out for. Now, since we don't know how long formats last anymore, I've decided that I'm going to include only sets and products that currently have an official release date. So while Shining Victories and the Millennium Pack are in, the Dark Illusion is out. Without further ado, this is the top 10 decks for the April 11th, 2016 format, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Hierarchy. Number 10, Dragons. We kick off our list with a type that 90% of old school duelists like myself started off playing. Between Shining Victories released next month and the Power Pack revival of the Great Divine Dragon in July, Dragons will be getting double stuff with competitive support, and what I like most about these variants is you're not really reliant on your extra deck at all. So something like Domain has practically no effectiveness against your deck. Add that to the fact that you can essentially Domain lock against other decks with the Amorphous Iridium, and you now have a deck that can definitely make some waves. Number 9, Mass Heroes. At this point, Heroes seem like Old Faithful, or at least a deck with excellent opening plays, very good lockdown, some solid boss monsters, and a deck that just about everybody in the game knows how to play effectively. Konami hitting the most dominant Pendulum deck in the game also greatly benefits Mass Heroes, as Anti-Spell Fragrance was never a natural side deck fit for a deck like Heroes, and that was definitely a problematic matchup. Burning Abyss, PK Fire, and Monarchs, on the other hand, they can be a piece of cake if you open with Dark Law plus a little protection. Number 8, PSY-Frames. People might wonder just what the heck are PSY-Frames doing here when they aren't getting any new cards, but to them I say, look at Rippling Mirror Force, which comes out in Shining Victories, might I add, and let your mind be blown by all the possibilities and the incredible amount of synergy that the card has with the archetype. PSY-Frames were already a pretty solid deck, but with Rippling Mirror Force, now you have a complete blowout card that works perfectly on how your deck wants to operate anyway, leaving your field open. This is pretty much PSY-Frame's specialty. Number 7, Despots. I believe a couple of cards can make a world of difference, and I think that we'll see that come to fruition soon. Despots can already swarm the field fairly well, but with Despot 9, they'll be able to OTK through basically any monster in the meta. Despot Base, on the other hand, adds that also important consistency that every deck strives to have, and it offers a little stat line boost that can sometimes make your small pushes into much more sizable ones. Number 6, MERMAIL. What's there really left to say about MERMAIL that hasn't been said before? We all know that it is a uber fast-paced OTK playstyle based deck that is focused on ending the game within the first couple of turns. MERMAIL really didn't get better or worse going into this format, which is why I kind of have it middle of the pack on this list. In my opinion, I actually think that decks like Dragons and Despots have more potential going in the next format, as they have a far stronger grind game, but unlike MERMAIL, they really haven't proven anything. MERMAIL have topped numerous YCS and regionals last format, so at least they've proven that they've been there and can do that. Number 5, PERFORMAPALs. Yes, you heard me right. Whether it's a new and much more neutered version, might I add, of Draco Pals or pure PERFORMAPALs, this archetype is simply way too strong to die off. The fact is, Konami is printing new PERFORMAPALs faster than Nintendo's handhelds are printing money for that company. I've had the pleasure of facing some incredibly capable pure PERFORMAPAL variants, and they've actually done quite well. Keep in mind that they still have the pendulum mechanic on their side, and you know, if Konami does something crazy like give them some synchros and tuners, I can see them right back at the top of this list. Number 4, Monarchs. One of the most oppressive decks on this list. Monarchs are like a snowball or maybe a freight train. Once they get rolling, it's next to impossible to stop. The problem always seems to be getting the damn deck rolling, as often you'll find yourselves with too many tributes or hands with no tributes, or my personal favorite, the double IDOS plus Yugioh opening hand, which is just, oh my god, don't even remind me. The point that I'm making is why Monarchs can often be an unstoppable force. It generally will lose lose to itself more times than not, and that, you know, Mask of Restrict, of course. Number 3, PK Fire and Phantom Knights. Look out, man, for the new kids on the block. Phantom Knights and their variants have been extremely popular as of late, and for good reason. PKs have searchable defensive cards, they have monsters that are perfect for discard fodder, they have an A+ grind game, and they've got some legitimate big damage plays. Usually those involve Dark Rebellion and Siege Dragon. Also, Phantom Knights offer a playstyle that is almost identical to Burning Abyss, but without the drawback of the monsters potentially blowing themselves up. Number 2, Burning Abyss. Speak of the devil. BA edges out Phantom Knights because the turn 1 fields can generally be a little better, most optimal of course being multiple Dantes, and because Beatrice feels kind of like the new Dante. I mean, it's amazing how she just makes your opponent waste so many resources to kill her, only to replace herself with something just as good, which in turn generally pays for himself when he dies too. Damn, Burning Abyss monsters like the floats. Burning Abyss were gaining a lot of popularity at the end of last format due to Beatrice, and with Draco Pals on the way out, they're going to continue to be a very strong pick. Honorable mentions include Yosenju, Raid Raptors, and Speedroids. Finally, to our number 1, Cosmo. Look, there was a ton of debate between Cosmo and Burning Abyss for the number 1 spot on this list, but I chose Cosmo based on 2 reasons, and they're both directly tied to Shining Victories. Number 1, Cosmo can only get better with the new cards in this set, so the deck only has one place to go. That's essentially up. If the cards are crap, people just won't play them and the deck will stay the same. Number 2, Drifting Ghost and Winter Blossom is going to be the bane of many decks' existence, and while Burning Abyss can auto-lose to that card, Cosmos are just, I mean, they barely use their extra deck, so they're completely unaffected by the card. However, they can almost certainly, and I expect they will, side it in against Burning Abyss. You wait for your opponent to summon a Seer, you reveal a Dante, discard a card, and basically the Burning Abyss player can't run any, or they can't summon any more Dantes. GG no re at that point. So I feel like Cosmo are just extremely consistent and they're solid on all fronts. So let me know what you guys thought of this list. What decks did you expect to be here? What do you think some of the best meta decks will be moving forward with this format? Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribing makes life happy.